The Senate Committee on Natural Resources will now come to order. Will the secretary please call roll, noting that Senator Ellison is in a meeting and will be counted as present once he joins.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cruz Crawford,
Present?
Senator Scheibel,
Here.
Senator Bazina,
Present.
Senator Hansen,
Here.
and I will mark Senator Ellison when he gets here. Thank you.
We have a quorum. I am so excited to be here today. Welcome to our audience in Carson City, those joining us by video conference in Las Vegas, and anyone joining over the internet. Before I start, I'll make several housekeeping announcements. When testifying, please turn on the microphone on to speak and off to listen. We have listeners and viewers in Las Vegas and online. We are recording this meeting, so it will be available on the legislature's website following the meeting. If you have handouts for the committee, please provide 10 copies to the committee secretary prior to your testimony. In addition, exhibits of amendments must be submitted electronically as a PDF file for our committee manager no later than noon on the business day before the meeting. Committee information is available on Nellis, which can be accessed through the legislature's website. You may also watch our meetings live through Nellis or the legislature's YouTube channel. We ask that public comments be kept to 2 minutes so that everyone interested in speaking can be accommodated. Members of the public may provide testimony on a bill either in person or by telephone. Written public comment may be submitted before, during, or up to 24 hours after the meeting's adjournment. And finally, please mute your electronic devices, especially cell phones, during the meeting. Today we'll have a 15-minute overview presentation from the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Director James Suttlemeyer, please begin when you are ready.
James Suttlemeyer, Director of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. I apologize for not blinking the thumb drive, so I'm going to try to make this extremely fast and quick. I'm the director, as I indicated. We have a department overview. We have a total of 8 divisions at the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, 4 standalone programs, 37 grant and load programs for approximately 822 employees plus. We have some employees that are half-time, 3/4 time, up within the State Historic Preservation Office, so that's why we get the plus number rather than the rest. That being said, we also have 15 statutory boards and commissions and 59 different duty locations across the state of Nevada, ranging everywhere from Las Vegas to Eureka to Winnemucca, all throughout the state of Nevada. We're very proud of that in all the areas we represent. Key focus areas for us are wildfire and natural resource management, and of course protecting Nevada's water resources within the Division of Water Resources, and sustainable land use. It's our overall opinion that we should do everything possible to preserve the natural resources of the state of Nevada for the citizens of the state of Nevada, those who visit the state of Nevada, and also for the industries within our state to utilize in a renewable type resource. With that, we'll start with the 8 different divisions we have. Our largest one by far and away is the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection. With that, they deal with mining permitting, they ensure clean water systems, air quality, clean lakes. Since 2023, we just hit a benchmark last year, we've provided over $1 billion in sustainable water infrastructure through the State Revolving Fund and other federal government programs to the state. With that, we also just recently started the 2024 Harmful Algae Bloom Task Force, which works on the Nevada Cyanobacterial Harmful Algae Bloom Strategic Response Plan. We've seen some of those occur in the last couple of years. We've had hot conditions, harmful algae blooms at Washoe Lake and other areas, making sure that it's out there for the public to recognize, see what should be done, and more importantly, what areas to avoid based upon those harmful algae blooms. Their mission, of course, at NDEP is to preserve and enhance the environment of the state, to protect its public health and sustain healthy ecosystems, and contribute to the vibrant economy. The next division I was going to discuss real quick, I know we're in a 15-minute rush, is the Nevada Division of Forestry. With that, we've been recently converting the conservation camp crews to the fire fuel crews. 75% of those FTEs have been filled. We've actually taken 42 crew supervisors and been able to hire them full-time rather than seasonal to deal with issues on wildfire, getting a little bit away from the conservation camp system due to the declining population of the prisons. Sorry about that.
What slide are you on?
Oh, I'm on slide number 5 at this point in time.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I apologize. With that, NDF protects over 5,600 plus acres have been restored per year. 600 wildfires occurred last year, 60 plus fire-wise USA sites. We'll go to number 6 slide deck, which would be the Nevada Division of Natural Heritage, who manages data on plants, animals, and ecosystems to inform conservation and land use plannings of the state. They also do the Nevada Rapid Wetland Assessment Method, a statewide geospatial hub for wetland data. September 23 this last year, Nevada Heritage actually started a botany program securing over $600,000 in grants to update and maintain over 100 critical plants in the state of Nevada. Next slide would be number 7, dealing with Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation, which is behind me on a bill draft to come momentarily. With that, last biennium, they put forth 57 projects, putting forth $1.1 million distributed through all the different counties of the state. There was a large demand for that. They actually had $4.2 million of requests for 163 projects. So they had to do a very good yeoman's job of figuring out better priorities and figuring out which ones were more worthwhile to put forward at that time. They also have the Nevada Trail Finder, which has over 200 verified trails across the state of Nevada, accounting for over 5,000 miles of non-motorized, 50,000 of motorized trails, and 5,000 different points of interest. So their mission, of course, is to support and promote the responsible outdoor recreation and its contributions to the Nevada economy and the quality of life. That'll take us to another division, which would be slide deck number 8, the Nevada Division of State Lands. Beyond the information that is there, in 2024, they actually invested $225 million in property acquisitions for the state of Nevada. If you look at the different buildings that were acquired, even the new legislative building down in southern Nevada, that's their job. They basically serve as the state of Nevada's real estate agent in that respect, acquiring those assets. Also, another critical thing that we did up in the Ely area, we found a piece of property that actually had a threatened and endangered plant, Montaneva paintbrush. And through state lands, they were able to preserve that property, thus ensuring that that species does not go extinct. So to me, that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about state lands doing, but they work with the conservation program, Conserve Nevada, to do that very thing, to protect those things. Last year, though, state lands, as we discussed, within the property aspect, actually added 950,000 square feet of state property for rental purposes or for the different agencies, which is pretty substantial. With that, we'll go to the next slide deck, which would be 9, which deals with the Nevada Division of State Parks. There are 27 state parks across Nevada. The director of that administrator is Bob McGill, who would love to have it to be 30 by the time he hits his 30 years. That's his goal and objective, so if you can try to help him out with that, he'd be very grateful to somehow accomplish that. Within state parks last year, many of you might remember, we actually gave them the state historical markers. And so they're in charge of those 270 state historical markers across Nevada that look like the blue stanchions. I know that Director Gochia has seen a few of those in his day traveling around. And they've done an excellent job of bringing those back and making sure that they're preserved. Some of them have become missing over time. We did an inventory. Actually, I did an inventory. Drove in all across the state of Nevada and looked at all 270 of them and the 27 state parks. I encourage anyone who hasn't done it to do so. Fascinating experience, a lot of history. I have nowhere near the knowledge of history that Senator Hansen has. I'll leave it at that on historical things across the state of Nevada. But there's also an app called Outer Spatial. I encourage you to download. It has all of our 27 state parks, and it also has a challenge where you actually go and instead of getting a physical stamp, you can actually get a digital stamp. And you can actually complete your passport that way, which is a great thing to do. Sadly, our state parks stamps are very popular. They seem to disappear at nighttime. So the digital form is a good way to make sure that they don't walk away at night quite as much as they once did. People are very passionate about trying to complete those passport challenges. If for some reason anyone has tried that and ran across a missing stamp, come by our office. We do have duplicate physical stamps if someone wants to stamp your books in that respect. Also within the outer spatial thing, we're very proud. It also has your coordinates. So even when your phone's off, you can find your way out of a state park. As we know, especially in southern Nevada, we've had issues where people go to Valley Fire and sadly aren't taking care of themselves. And this, what we hope, will help in situations like that. The next division we have within us, slide deck 10, is the Division of Water Resources. Not that anyone is ever concerned or has any issues with water, as we know. In the state of Nevada, we have the Nevada Water Initiative, which is goal is to monetize and digitize. And our goal within this is to make sure that all the information is available to everyone in a digital format, so that middle of the night, if you needed to look up a map pertaining to a river, we're trying to get to the point where they're all there. And this comes out of necessity, trying to make sure that we have all this information accessible to the citizens of the state of Nevada, but also beyond that to preserve them. We had a situation in Humboldt County where there was a flood. All the maps, unfortunately, were stored on the basement of the courthouse. And luckily, they came in on their day off. State Engineer's Office, Division of Water Resources, came in on their day off, rescued all those maps, and has digitized those and entered them in so that we can preserve them. Because these documents are not only historical, they're legal. And without them, there are some questions about whose water rights they really are. So to me, it's very important that we continue that digitization process. Within that, the last one we have here is the State Historic Preservation Office. So on September 24, the Commission for Cultural Centers Historic Preservation actually distributed out $2.85 million for 25 historic buildings in the state of Nevada. What occurs in these situations is that people that have private property that's historic can actually put in for a grant to help restore those buildings to their former glory. However, with that comes a cost, meaning they have to keep areas open at various times of the year because, again, if public resources are being used, then they need to have them open to the public. They're not required to. So, meaning that if they don't want to take the money, they don't have to have it open to the public. But if you'd like the public assistance, then you do need to have it open so the public can view its former glory. There's a coffee shop in Eureka, I know of. Beautiful what they've done there and being able to get back the 12-foot ceilings and things of that nature. Within that, we have the 4 standalone programs. That covers the 8 different divisions. We do have 4 different standalone programs. Item 12, Conserve Nevada supports the conservation enhancement of Nevada's natural, cultural, and recreational resources. So since 2022, they've actually preserved 19,856 acres. They've done a phenomenal job in getting things done in that respect, all the way down to Las Vegas, where we did $25 million for the Boulder Train Museum. Still working on that one. And as you know, the $8 million for Valley of the Fire, combined with the $7 million from the Helmsley Group, trying to make sure to get our resources, limited resources, stretched as long as possible. So they're doing a great job in that respect. We also have the Nevada Off-Way Highway Vehicle Program, which we're now putting in under Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation. So in the future, it probably will not be a complete standalone program. They do some great things, and we're trying to work with them. That's important to me about that program is they look at the trails and they actually close trails on occasion, realizing they're not a benefit in a particular situation and might be actually harming the environment. So they do an assessment of that and figure out how to improve trails or sometimes close them. Beyond that, we have the Sagebrush Ecosystem Program, which helps protect Nevada's habitat to benefit greater sage-grouse, native plants, and animal species, as well as administer Nevada's innovative conservation credit program, which allows businesses to continue to do things on the landscape while creating uplift, doing projects in order to increase sagebrush habitat in other areas or in key critical habitat areas, so that way the sagebrush system is preserved, thus helping to ensure the sage-grouse is not necessarily listed or runs into any issues. We also have the Conservation District Program last, consists of 28 conservation districts across the state of Nevada. I actually began a little bit in politics. My career started with the Carson Valley Conservation District some 30 years ago, interesting enough. Only to find out my great-grandfather founded it in 1937. But anyways, they do great work across the state of Nevada for a very nominal amount of money. We give them about $5,000 a conservation district, which is the same amount of money we've given them since the year 2000. This year we're seeking to give them a whole whopping $500 more. I know that's a $14,000 fiscal note. Hopefully we can get through that. That being said, I stand for questions. I try to keep this very high level and brief, realizing that your time is short, and that was before I even know you had a small egg bill today. Chair, do you have any questions, or does the rest of your committee have any questions for me?
Are there any questions from committee members? Senator Bazina?
Hi, Director Settlemeyer. You mentioned we currently have 27 state parks across Nevada, and the goal was 30 by retirement. So how many years is he at right now?
He's only has, James Settlemeyer, Director, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Mr. McGill, I think, only has about 2.5 years left, so we're in a rush factor. The Montney paintbrush property, we've discussed maybe someday actually trying to restore it to its former glory. It actually used to be like Wally's Hot Springs. It used to actually be a hot springs that movie stars really came out to Ely, Nevada, to ride horses and go on trails and things of that nature. So who knows what the future holds.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Any other questions from committee members? No? Okay, I'll start with mine. Thank you so much, Director Settlemeyer. I really appreciate, you can look at this just two ways. You know, you were upstaged or you got a bigger audience. I think it's depending how you crack that egg. Okay, sorry. I love dad jokes. So, no, I do appreciate the work you do. I am going to continue to use you as a resource, and as I learn more about all of the different items that you offer. My question is, with the funding for the organization, how much funding do you get from state and federal?
So primarily, it depends which division you're really looking at. But if you look at it kind of overall, we're about 25% general fund. A lot of it is more of the federal funds, especially when you look at NDEP, which is more based off of fees and the federal government programs that exist. So that is the Department of Environmental Protection. Sorry for the acronyms. There are way too many in these jobs.
I have one more follow-up, and then I'll give it to Senator Ellison. Will you keep us up to date if any of the federal funding is at risk so that we can track that? Okay.
We'll do our best.
Thank you. Senator Ellison?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for being late. We were on a conference call with your old buddy, Mr. Gogichia. So anyway, it was a good meeting. But I did have a chance I wanted to talk to you about fires, and I missed this. If you setting up anything big for this coming year, I mean, as dry as it is, and we're getting a lot of snow in the mountains, but we're getting nothing in the valleys. I know our ranchers were our first line of attack, and I'm hoping that's still in there. But the other thing is, are we giving them what they need to get out there and start seeing if they can hit these fires down before they spread?
Correct. James Sotomayor for the record, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. We are continuing through the Nevada Division of Forestry and working with other programs to try to affect the landscapes through the Shared Stewardship Program, which the Governor Lombardo was kind enough to put within his budget. That'll give us more access, actually, to federal funds. It's something that we as a state have not been contributing in, and several times the federal government's been like, why do we give you money? You're not even throwing any of your own money at this. And its goal and objective is to go out on those landscapes and try to reduce the fire problems and dangers coming in the future. Again, on the priority, more the landscapes, we have the Humboldt-Teobe as well as all the stuff on the Eastern Sierra Range within the Elko area, trying to make sure to reduce those fire risk going forward. And that's something we continue to do. We have converted those conservation camp crews, most of them, but we now have full crews in Ely, Humboldt, Carlin, and Washoe Valley that are, again, full-time, and it's fascinating to see the increase in production from full-time crews versus inmate crews. They seem to be actually more motivated and actually are getting far more resource protection done on the ground. But if you wish, we can follow up offline. I realize you have a busy day, and I'd be more willing to do that.
Thank you so much for your presentation today. We really value that.
Thank you.
Just starting. We are now ready to begin our first bill hearing. Today, we're going to be hearing two bills, SB 21 and AB 171. We'll start with SB 21. I will now open the hearing on SB 21. If you can come up here. This measure revises provisions relating to outdoor recreation. We have bill presenter Denise Baronio. The phonetic spelling, I swear, is like worse for me to read. Yeah. No, I'm thrown off. And then we have administrator and the diversity and inclusion liaison, Division of Outdoor Recreation, State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Sorry, that's your title. Okay, please proceed when you're ready, and if you can also introduce yourself as well.
Thank you.
We have allotted 15 minutes for the bill presentation. Thank you.
I only need half.
Oh, perfect.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting us be here today for this hearing presentation. Chair and members of the Senate Natural Resources Committee. My name is Denise Baronio, Beronio, and I serve as the administrator of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation, also known as NDOR. Today I am here to present Senate Bill 21, and with me today is my Deputy Administrator, Elizabeth Johnson, for follow-up questions later. The Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation is committed to advancing and promoting sustainable, world-class outdoor recreation throughout Nevada. To support this mission, legislation established the Nevada Outdoor Education Recreation Grant Program, also known as NOER, to fund outdoor education and recreation programs for Nevada's students. However, the program remained unfunded until the last legislative session when it received a one-time $500,000 appropriation. NOER aims to enhance academic performance, STEM, self-esteem, community engagement, and personal health by exposing youth to the environment, agriculture, natural resources, and STEM learning. Additionally, through Federal Economic Development Administration funding, NDOR launched the Nevada Outdoor Recreation Infrastructure Grant Program, also known as NORI, with one-time funding of over $615,000 in 2023. This supported communities and organizations statewide for shovel-ready projects and transformative planning endeavors that advance their efforts to diversify their economies around outdoor recreation assets. Despite the success of NOER and NORI, funding 57 projects across all 17 counties, the overwhelming demand included 163 proposals requesting $4.2 million, which demonstrates a critical gap in resources. Outdoor recreation and education programs are only as effective as the framework which supports them. With safe, accessible spaces such as youth camps, shaded areas, maintained trails, and ADA-compliant facilities, outdoor programming cannot reach its full potential. Nevada simply does not have the funding necessary to sustain both the demand for programs and the amenities needed to support them. To bridge this gap, SB 21 expands the Nevada Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant by creating two dedicated funding opportunities, one for student-focused programming and infrastructure, and one for public programming and public spaces. While NDOR continues to support and prioritize getting kids outdoors, the current statute limits its ability to fund educational projects or programming that have tangible environmental improvements. This bill strengthens outdoor recreation programming by ensuring the necessary facilities are in place, from well-maintained trails for guided nature education or to shaded areas that make year-round learning outdoors possible. By integrating programming with resources, SB 21 enhances outdoor education, expands access, and supports long-term stewardship of Nevada's natural spaces. With this expansion, NDOR envisions operating these as separate funding rounds, ensuring that student-focused programs would not compete with broader public education and recreation projects. NDOR will continue to prioritize education and youth programming, shovel-ready projects, and capping infrastructure awarded amounts to stretch the dollars as far as possible. The allocation for each program, youth-focused and public, will depend on available funding. However, the goal is to maintain at least the level of funding for youth-focused programming with the hopes of increasing support. Any additional funding would be directed to public grants after prioritizing youth-focused programming. This model aligns with other successful grant programs run by the state, including the Recreational Trails Program, which recognizes the interdependence of education and infrastructure. NDOR is passionate about getting kids outdoors, and we are extremely excited about the new opportunity that provides for school amenities, nature centers, trees and landscapes for shade, and other framework that will benefit students directly. The impact of NOAA is already very clear. In 2024 alone, 10,944 students spent over 25,855 hours outdoors, and the programming supported 57 jobs. Outdoor recreation is essential not just for students, but for all Nevadans. Establishing opportunities for outdoor recreation is fundamental to Endor's mission through supporting the outdoor economy, improving public health, enhancing ADA accessibility, and fostering long-term stewardship. However, significant barriers remain, including transportation challenges, climate-related issues such as extreme heat, wildfires, and flooding, coupled with the time it takes to access recreational opportunities that are spread across our vast state. According to the statewide Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan, also known as the SCORP, 54% of Nevadans do not live within walking distance of outdoor recreation. Endor's goal is to reduce these barriers by expanding grant opportunities that help communities and partners invest in essential programming and improve assets. This will advance the outdoor recreation economy for Nevada, which contributes over $8 billion to our GDP. And it is quickly becoming the focus of travel and tourism to bring more visitors to our state. But we cannot successfully compete with other Western states without elevating access, groundwork, and quality of life through outdoor recreation. The current statute does not allow the flexibility needed to integrate infrastructure into the NOAA grant or expand funding for public outdoor education and projects. SB 21 strengthens Nevada's outdoor recreation system by ensuring that both programming and infrastructure receive necessary investment. By improving access where people live, work, and learn, rather than just relying on one-off experiences, this bill supports long-term health, well-being, conservation, and economic growth. Outdoor spaces are more than just places to visit. They shape our communities, enhance quality of life, and encourage a lifelong connection to nature. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go first and see if there's any questions from our committee member regarding Senate Bill 21. Senator Pazina?
Thank you so much for coming into the office earlier. And to go on the record, I'm such a fan of outdoor recreation. When I served on the Commission on Tourism, it was definitely a focus. I was so fortunate to serve on the advisory committee over the interim on outdoor recreation. And I think all of this complements our transit to trails that came out of the interim Natural Resources Committee as well. So thank you.
Denise Baronio, for the record, I agree, and thank you very much.
Senator Scheibel?
And thank you for being here and presenting. I just want to confirm my understanding of Section 2. We're also, in addition to expanding the eligibility for infrastructure projects, not just programming, we're also expanding the availability of the grants for learning and health and wellness in general. We're not limiting the grants to schools or programs focused on school children.
Denise Baronio, for the record, thank you, Senator, for that question. Yes, you are correct. We are expanding the grant program to allow for kind of a second bucket of funding opportunities beyond just K through 12 education for the public.
Okay, looks like everybody's asked their questions, so I just have a few questions myself. Oh, Senator Ellison.
I apologize, madam, I'm the short guy on the end. I do have a question, though. It says there's no fiscal note, and you work off of grants in private funding. But there's nothing you're looking for the state to step up or anything like that, even though you're involved with the state. Is that correct?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. Denise Baronio, for the record, that's correct. We are not asking for a fiscal note to be attached to this. At this time, we're hoping for funding opportunities through other resources, federal funding, and there is, I believe, a bill, assembly bill that's asking for funding for the NOAA grant.
Okay. And one of follow-up, madam. Okay, and some of the projects it looks like that you do, and in the camps, I know Lamoille Camp just got rebuilt from the fire. Are you guys involved with the Lamoille Camp up there?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. Denise Baronio, for the record. I visited the Lamoille Canyon camp last year with the governor when U.S. Forest Service had their sort of unveiling of projects that were happening in that area. Endor isn't currently working with anybody individually, but we are open to working with anyone across the state to promote access and recreation across any of the communities or counties. But we don't have a particular project in that area at this time.
Thank you. It turned out pretty nice. It's pretty beautiful. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, I just have a couple questions myself. Looks like everybody in the committee has asked. Okay. So I am an elementary school principal, so one of my favorite things is to make sure that everybody that is participating understands what is being asked. And so from what I'm tracking, and you can just do a thumbs up or thumbs down, is that the grant award is $250,000 per year.
Thank you, Senator, for that question. Denise Baronio, for the record. Currently, there is no funding available for the grant program going forward. We didn't ask for any in our general budget. Okay. But we were awarded $500,000 in the last biennium, so those funds were already spent for 23 and 24, if that answers your question.
Yes, and then I see on your website it shows all the programming that was awarded in 23 and 24, or 24 and 25, sorry, I think. 24 and 25, and those are programs where children are interacting, like I see a garden program, I see a backpacking camp, I see leadership camps, I see field trips, and this SB 21 would allow for us to start building infrastructure so that they can do that. Is there anything in place where we can see how many youth were affected with the current camp type structure, recreation structure, to some tracking mechanism with building that infrastructure to see how many youth are able to gain from this? Does that make sense? Am I asking that correctly?
Denise Baronio, for the record, I think so. I would ask Kendall Scott to come up. She's our education lead. She administers the NOAA grant, and I don't know if Elizabeth has any information to add to that, but she might be able to shed some light on your question.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Committee. Kendall Scott, for the record, KENDALSCOTT. We have, fresh off the presses, an impact report for our first year programming in 2024. So we have some metrics as a baseline for the first year of funding, and we'll do the same for 2025 when those projects wrap up. So we have some information we can base that off of depending on how things may change. I think currently we're funding things like transportation to get students to the places where they can participate in this types of programming. So if those spaces are near to them, there could potentially be greater impact on numbers if we're not spending as much money on transportation. So I do think there are some metrics in place to do that.
And then this infrastructure would be accessible to students outside of the that are originally doing the field trip, like to the regular public as well.
Thank you for the question, Denise Baronio, for the record. So is your question, are we going to be able to give more access to infrastructure by passing the bill?
No, I'm saying right now you're saying you're investing in the infrastructure, and that right now the students that are participating get to use that infrastructure. Is that infrastructure going to be available to the general public as well?
Yes, the infrastructure would be available to the general public. It wouldn't be strictly for education purposes. The only thing I can think of that might be considered outdoor recreation is if somebody had an indoor climbing wall or something like that inside a school that maybe would not be as accessible to the public. But we foresee more like green schoolyards, opportunities like that, teaching kids how to build trails, improving workforce opportunities for future outdoor recreation workforce. There's a lot of different opportunities, I think, to create small infrastructure pieces across the state that would benefit both pupils and the public.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I work with a youth inner city sports camp, and we get to provide all the sports training. But if they don't have the basketball court to play the sport on, then it's kind of a moot point. So thank you. I appreciate it. And that concludes our hearing for Senate Bill 21. We're going to move on. Oh, sorry. Next, we'll hear testimony in support for Senate Bill 21 in Carson City. We'll start with Carson.
So this is just general reference to the bill she mentioned, Amy, that
Hello, thank you so much. We're going to take testimony in support of Senate Bill 2021. As a reminder, we'll be limiting testifiers to 2 minutes each. We got the egg timer. Testifiers may summarize their position. Everybody is supposed to come up with an egg joke in their comments today. I'm the only one following through. Testifiers, now I just look silly. Testifiers may summarize their positions and submit a more comprehensive testimony in writing. Go ahead. State your name.
Chair Cruz Crawford. My name is we were the lead program working with a lot of our sportsman folks. Mr. Davis is in the crowd. I can't let him get away with not getting credit to create the Division of Outdoor Recreation. And what I'm happy to report is that under Administrator Baronio and others, her team, this division is acting exactly the way they were supposed to. They're getting kids outside. They're putting together the granting with the limited funds that they have. And those programs are definitely working to get both urban and rural kids to understand what going outside really is all about. It's been a fantastic evolution watching this division grow. I think what you see in Senate Bill 21 is exactly the next step in that evolution. And I have had many conversations with the administrator about this because we wanted to make sure from the NVOBC's perspective that now suddenly, if you had grant dollars come in, they were only going to go to infrastructure type projects. I'm comfortable knowing that the education programming is going to be the priority. But if there are opportunities for infrastructure style projects, if this language isn't in statute, they can't even entertain those types of programs. And I'll give you an example from the Outdoor Business Coalition's perspective. Patagonia, REI, we have some of the major retailers, ski resorts, and others that are part of our coalition. Say they wanted to put forward $1 million to support infrastructure projects in the state. They could use the grant program through Endor to make that happen, so that there is a process with an organization, a division, that can make those programs happen. There was some talk about, what is the funding for the next cycle? I can tell you that the Nevada Outdoor Business Coalition will be working diligently with others and the money committees to see that grant dollars do flow in and that the division has the opportunity to not just fund those education programs that we know work really, really well, but also if there are infrastructure projects that they can work on those also. So, thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the next person testifying in support.
Great. There's no button. There's no button. Okay, sorry. Oh, there we go. Sorry, for the record, my name is Vincent Guthrow. I serve as the Executive Director of the Nevada Association of Counties, or NACO. We represent the collective county interests of all 17 counties of our membership. We are in support of SB 21. We support the expanded partnership and funding flexibility as we encourage uses and create experiences in Nevada's outdoor education programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager. For the record, that's OLIVIA I'm the Executive Director of the Sierra Club's Toyabe chapter. We're the largest grassroots environmental organization in the state of Nevada, representing over 40,000 members and supporters statewide. We're really excited about this legislation and happy to testify in support. My organization has two programs called Inspiring Connections Outdoors programs, one based in Reno, one based in Las Vegas, and the ICO programs seek to get underserved youth outside, so kids who might not otherwise have access to green spaces, and they have been really excited about the possibility of opening up funding for other resources for infrastructure associated with recreation and with getting kids outside. There's a lot of gaps needed in order to still get kids outside. I know, and we'll talk about this when we have the discussion on transit to trails that my organization is very excited about. But there are a lot of kids who have never been to Red Rock, who live in Las Vegas, or kids who haven't been to Tahoe, who live in Reno. And so any way that we can close those equity gaps that exist in getting kids outside and allowing kids to recreate certainly helps me in building up the new generation of environmental advocates and helps our kids' mental health. So we're excited to support this bill, and thank you all for bringing it forward.
Hello, my name is Tristan St. Denis. That's TRYSTINST_DENIS, and I am the Policy and Advocacy Associate with the Nevada Conservation League. I am here in support of SB 21. Outdoor learning infrastructure, such as living schoolyards, offers a space for students to foster a connection to nature. Providing outdoor opportunities for youth has been linked to improved physical health, problem-solving skills, increased academic performance, and environmental awareness. While we are supportive of the bill, we want to ensure that education and recreation programs are being prioritized over infrastructure projects. The Nevada Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program has been incredibly successful in its first 2 years, and it has been moving to hear how this program is benefiting kids all across our state. We look forward to seeing the program grow and flourish, and will continue to advocate for ongoing funding. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przinski, here representing Nevada Association of School Superintendents. We like this bill. We like what this can do for kids in this program, so we're in support. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Stacy M., and I'm an extension professor with the University of Nevada, Reno. I direct statewide agriculture programs and Nevada tribal programs. We're here today to support this bill. As you know, the Extension Service, we're in all 17 counties. We identify needs in those counties, and then we provide the educational program, and we work with several collaborators and partners in our ability to do that, including the 4-H camp at Lake Tahoe and the new 4-H camp at Alamo. We also have day camps that we hold in different counties. This funding will be critical to our educational foundation of getting kids outside. I've spent a 25-year extension professional career trying to increase physical activity with youth. And the best way to increase that physical activity is using our outdoors. Now, just in honor of Tribes Day today, that most of our tribal leaders are here in directing Nevada tribal programs, this grant program has impacted us directly. So UNR Extension was able to access funds for outdoor education for our tribal students program, which was able to put youth on the ground on the Walker River Reservation within Weber Reservoir and on the Walker River. In addition, those same youth were able to attend the 4-H camp at Lake Tahoe and get a foundation prepping them for college in STEAM type careers. So we can't think of a better way to expand and consolidate this program. I think having that infrastructure component of this grant program is going to be critical as we try to build our infrastructure across the state. Thank you.
Hello, Chair and committee members. My name is Eric Cheng, ERICJENG. I am the Executive Director of One APIA Nevada for the Asian, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community here in Nevada. The rise of digital fragmentation and dominance of social media, field isolation, and even for our community, especially our youth, are becoming more disconnected. Research, including our own work in the community, has shown how the loss of shared spaces and in-person interaction contribute to a lot of issues we're facing. Outdoor education, outdoor recreation is one of the simplest and most effective solution. In a lot of the researches we're seeing, our nonprofit already brought community members to outdoor parks and trails, both in Southern Nevada and here in Northern Nevada. When our youth spend more time in nature, they develop stronger attention spans, deeper social connection, and greater resilience. So expanding access to outdoor recs and education and strengthening NOR through SB 21 is an investment in our collective well-being. And to finish in the Gen Z colloquial, let our kids touch grass. Let them know the sage and the pine, see the spotted fawn and doe, right here in the heart of Golden West. Thank you.
We will now take testimony in support of SB 21 in Las Vegas.
Good afternoon, Chair Cruz Crawford and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Taylor Avery, and I'm the Manager of Political Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. The Vegas Chamber is in support of Senate Bill 21, expanding the field of outdoor recreation-related organizations and programs eligible for grants will support small businesses, help Nevada's growing outdoor tourism industry, and spur economic development. The bill will also support efforts to increase student achievement, an objective not just important for the future of Nevada's children, but for the betterment of Nevada's future workforce and leaders. Programs supported by these grants will expose students, especially underserved youth, to topics they may not otherwise have had the opportunity to experience. Through this bill, organizations that support enhancing custodianship of cultural and natural resources will be eligible for grants, ensuring our state's beautiful outdoor spaces will be available for all to enjoy for generations to come. Thank you for your consideration of support.
Is there anyone else in Las Vegas? AVH, is there anyone on the line wishing to provide testimony in support?
If you would like to testify in support of SB 21, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Amber Falgo, AMBER-FALGOUT, and I am the Communications Director with Battleborn Progress. As a mother of 3 and a native Nevadan who grew up enjoying our public lands, I know how vital outdoor spaces are for our children and also our families' well-being. We strongly support Senate Bill 21 as a critical investment in Nevada's future. Too many families lack access to outdoor opportunities. The Nevada Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program has helped bridge this gap, providing underserved communities with meaningful outdoor experiences. Expanding it to include recreation infrastructure will ensure even more Nevadans can connect with nature. Outdoor education is not a luxury, it is essential. It improves health, boosts academic performance, and builds problem-solving skills. This is not a partisan issue. All Nevada's children deserve the chance to learn and grow outside. We urge the committee to prioritize education and recreation programs over infrastructure projects. Let's ensure kids get hands-on experiences in nature. Please support Senate Bill 21 and invest in Nevada's future. Thank you all so much for your time.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Mandy Elliott, MandiElliott, Executive Director of the Nevada Outdoor Business Coalition. I'm calling today in support of SB 21, and I want to thank Administrator Denise Baronio for the work she's done on this bill and everything she does for the Division of Outdoor Recreation. We are in support of this section that allows the Division of State Parks to appoint a designee to the Advisory Board on Outdoor Recreation. The NVOBC also supports the sections of the bill that allow the division to consider infrastructure projects from grant funds in the future. We maintain that the purpose of the grants this division administers are to support outdoor recreation projects with educational programming, keeping those a priority. However, the administrator should have the ability to consider small infrastructure projects as well. And we stand in support with the other comments made today. Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits of 315, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. My name is Chris Perkins, the Vice President of Programs at the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable, where we represent nearly 110,000 businesses across the $1.2 trillion outdoor recreation economy. These are businesses from hiking, biking, skiing, and climbing to hunting and fishing, boating, motorized, RV, camping, horseback riding, hospitality, you name it. And I'm very pleased to be here today to speak in support of SB 21, because suffice it to say, the impact of outdoor recreation in Nevada is huge. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, in 2023, outdoor recreation generated $8.1 billion for Nevada. That's 3.3% of GDP. And 60,000 jobs, growing nearly 13% year over year. Nevada's outdoor recreation assets are a major component of its competitiveness, and Nevada is very fortunate to have the leadership of the Division of Outdoor Recreation and Administrator Baronio and her outstanding team help guide its outdoor recreation priorities. And in our role, we have a great vantage point on the strategies that states are utilizing to grow their outdoor recreation economies, which is why we think this bill is so important. Nevada's neighboring western states like Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah have established dedicated outdoor recreation infrastructure programs like the one this bill would create. Just today, New Mexico announced another round of its recreation grant program, estimating the creation of an additional 300 jobs for the state with its infrastructure investments. And in Utah, a 2021 survey of tech workers revealed that outdoor recreation was the #1 reason they moved to the state, even outranking family. At present, the Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant has been hugely successful. It's seen major demand with $2.6 million in asks across projects over 2 years. It's distributed projects in all 17 counties, and last year helped nearly 11,000 kids spend over 24,000 hours outdoors and supported 54 jobs. So by expanding eligibility for this program and new categories for outdoor recreation infrastructure and education funding, this bill provides a great opportunity to unlock Nevada's potential for consistent growth and workforce development, and not just the outdoor recreation economy, but to invest in the assets that make Nevada an attractive place to live, work, and visit for all. ORR is happy to lend our support for SB 21. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much to the committee for your time today. For the record, my name is Brooke Clayton, BROOKE CLAYTON, and I manage the grant program as the development manager at the Tahoe Rim Trail Association. We have been fortunate to receive funding from the Nevada Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program, and it is a pleasure to testify in support of SB 21. Funding from NOAA has helped the TRTA deliver impactful outdoor experiences for Northern Nevada youth, particularly those who face barriers to outdoor access and may not otherwise have this opportunity. One camper from our most recent summer of 2024 wrote in a survey, "I cannot imagine my life without this experience." Expanding the NOAA program would not only protect opportunities like our Youth Backcountry Camp, but it would also ensure that outdoor recreation as a whole can remain sustainable and accessible in the face of a growing body of recreators. YBCC, our Youth Backcountry Camps, inspired the next generation of stewards and outdoor leaders, and they're going to have a challenge on their hands. How do we connect people with nature while minimizing human impacts on the landscape? The Tahoe Rim Trail sees an estimated 700,000 annual users, and it takes parking, bathrooms, signage, online resources, print materials, education, adaptive trails, and a whole lot of trail building and maintenance to keep up with this swell of recreation, which is only growing since the COVID-19 pandemic. Expanding the Nowhere Grant Program would continue to connect youth with the outdoors while also helping meet the overarching need for sustainable recreation infrastructure and practices. The Tahoe Rim Trail Association is in full support of Senate Bill 21, and we thank you again for your time.
Caller with the last three digits of 204, we can see you're unmuted on our end. Is it possible you are muted on your end?
Apologies about that. Good evening. Thank you to the committee for hearing us today. For the record, my name is Hannah Morgan, HANNAHMORGAN. I work with Climate Action Nevada. We're a local nonprofit that focuses on ways that we can protect our environment through both everyday choices and key legislation that serves to keep communities clean, breathing clean air, and having healthy lives through clean water access. And I'm here to express my strong support for SB 21 as part of the infrastructure that ensures our communities have thriving outdoor environments to engage with. Outdoor recreation is a cornerstone of Nevada's identity, contributing significantly to our economy, health, and quality of life. SB 21 ensures a more diverse and representative body that can address the evolving needs of our communities here in Las Vegas. Furthermore, enhancing the Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program will provide greater opportunities for our youth to engage with and appreciate Nevada's natural landscapes. These initiatives not only promote environmental stewardship for these youth, but also stimulate economic growth through increased tourism and job creation, which we need here desperately. I urge the committee to support SB 21 as it represents a vital investment in the future of our state's outdoor heritage. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Caller with the last three digits of 337, we can see you are unmuted on our end. Is it possible you're muted on your end?
I'm so sorry about that. Hello, my name is Brittany Pagala, and I am a resident of Clark County in Henderson. And I'm calling today to express my strong support for SB 21 because all children in Nevada deserve access to the great outdoors. And expanding outdoor recreation and education ensures that every child, regardless of background, has opportunities to explore, learn, and benefit from nature. And I urge the Senate Committee on Natural Resources to support this bill and help outdoor spaces be more accessible, equitable, and beneficial for Nevada's youth.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in support of SB 21. If you would like to testify in support, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no more callers wishing to participate at this time.
Thank you, AVH. Next, we'll hear testimony in opposition in Carson City. It looks like there's no one in Carson City to testify in opposition. We're looking for testimony in opposition in Las Vegas. I know we were having some technical difficulties with our computers in Las Vegas, so we're going to move to any testimony in opposition on the telephone line. AVH, is there anyone online wishing to provide testimony in opposition?
If you would like to testify in opposition of SB 21, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers wishing to participate at this time.
Thank you, AVH. We're going to finally go to see if there's anyone wishing to testify in neutral on the bill here in Carson City. Excellent. We are going to see if anyone is wishing to testify in neutral on the bill in Las Vegas. Okay, that went over easy. And next, we are going to see if there's anyone on the telephone line. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone line that would like to testify in neutral?
If you would like to testify neutral on SB 21, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers wishing to participate at this time.
Thank you so much, AVH. I will now close the hearing on Senate Bill 21. Thank you.
Give them a minute to.
Is everyone ready to explore Assembly Bill 171? I will now open the hearing, Assembly Bill 171. I will now open the hearing on AB 171. This measure revises provisions relating to the state quarantine officer. The bill presenters, will the bill presenters please come to the table? I believe we have JJ Gogachia, the Director of the State Department of Agriculture, and Assembly Member Watts here. Would Assembly Member Watts like to begin? We have allocated 15 minutes for this bill presentation.
Thank you so much, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Howard Watts. I represent Assembly District 15 in Clark County. And it's my pleasure to present Assembly Bill 171 in its first reprint for your consideration today. I want to thank, first of all, Speaker Yeager for helping provide this bill. I want to thank Director Goicoechea and the Department of Agriculture for reaching out to discuss this issue and for the ongoing collaboration that has led to the bill that you see before, as well as many stakeholders who you'll hear from who I believe have helped hone in and strengthen this bill to make it the best it can possibly be. I'm going to just speak very briefly on why this bill is being brought forward and why it is before you during the second week of the legislative session. After that, I'll turn it over to Director Goicoechea to talk, to provide some additional context, and then we'll provide a very brief walk through the bill after that. We're glad to take any questions that members may have. So I think everyone has seen the issues that we're facing with eggs and the cost of groceries these days. Eggs, I think, particularly stand out. You can go to the grocery store. Depending on where you go and when you go, you might see that the shelves are empty. You might see that the supply is very low. And while the price can vary, one thing that is certain is that it's higher than it used to be, and in some cases dramatically higher. The reason for this is due to avian influenza. It's an outbreak that has really gone across the country and has killed tens of millions of egg-laying chickens. And I'll let Director Goicoechea talk more about the scope of that issue. And that's really put a crunch on the supply of eggs across the entire country. In 2021, the legislature passed Assembly Bill 399 with bipartisan support. It established a cage-free standards for our state. So no eggs can be put up for sale in our state unless they meet certain humane treatment standards. That's part of a regional and even national move towards these cage-free standards. Already, more than 40% of the eggs produced across the United States meet cage-free standards, and that continues to grow each and every year. However, one of the things that was not foreseen at that time was this major animal disease outbreak. As a result, there was no regulatory flexibility to suspend those requirements in the event of a major supply chain disruption, an emergency really, that has dramatically impacted the supply chain across our country. That's what Assembly Bill 171 seeks to do. It adds additional flexibility and puts tools in the Department of Agriculture's toolbox to help address this issue. And as a result of conversations with other stakeholders, the bill as revised provides that to the extent allowable under federal law, we provide a maximum flexibility to the Department of Agriculture to create flexibility that helps get more eggs on store shelves across the state of Nevada, ultimately helping drive down the price of eggs for Nevada families. One of the things that I want to make extremely clear is that one thing we will never be flexible on is our health and safety standards. We are always going to make sure that we are delivering healthy and safe food products to consumers. But I think this set of tools helps do everything that we can at the state level, again, to get more eggs available to customers and help drive down the cost of groceries for our families. This is a, I think, very smart, measured, targeted approach that's aimed at addressing emergency circumstances only. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Director Goycochea.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Director Goycochea, Department of Agriculture. I just want to start where Assemblymember Watts left off on food safety. Just this afternoon, there was a headline in a newspaper in Southern Nevada that read, "Nevada could suspend food safety law to help lower egg prices." Nothing is farther from the truth. I want to get on the record right now and make it clear that that is not what this bill will do, nor is it anything that our agency would ever contemplate doing. FDA and USDA share the regulatory authority for egg safety, not the NDA. Nothing is changing there regardless of the manner in which these eggs are produced and how they get to us on the market. For a little bit of context, in December alone, table egg layer losses due to high path, just high path avian influenza, 13.6 million birds in the United States. That brought the total for 2024 to 38.4 million birds we lost due to this disease. While that is a lot of birds, as Assemblymember Watts said, in the fourth quarter, 59% of all layers lost to high path were in states with cage-free egg laws. Those are the states that we are currently sourcing our eggs from today. And because there are only 38.7% of the nation's flock that actually is in those states. So that leaves us roughly 60% of the egg-laying population that we can go source other eggs from. You're gonna hear that maybe it will not make a difference. It will. We know the price difference between the New York state fixed price and California is $3 a dozen today. That's the difference. California's $3 higher than New York, again, because of the cage-free standards. So with that, I'll rest.
Thank you, Director. So the bill as amended in its first reprint I'll just give you a quick walkthrough. So in section 1, this provides the state quarantine officer, who happens to be the director of the Department of Agriculture, the ability to temporarily suspend state egg regulations, as long as those are aligned with our federal law. So that makes sure that all of those FDA and USDA health and safety standards remain in place. In order to temporarily suspend those regulations, there are several conditions that have to be met. As you'll see in this, there has to be a federally declared foreign animal disease outbreak, a disease emergency, or a natural disaster. In addition to that, those circumstances have to be connected to a negative impact in the national supply chain of eggs. Once those conditions are met, that suspension can go into place, and the bill outlines a range of tools. So we've discussed the cage-free laws. This will allow the state to temporarily expand its sourcing of eggs to other producers. There's been discussion of grade B eggs, which again meet all health and safety standards. They're often used in baking and other applications. That's another option that could be evaluated and considered. Currently, the state does not procure large numbers of eggs for any programs, but if in the future they were, they could look at temporarily suspending that in order to make sure that we're getting more eggs onto the grocery shelves. And lastly, we could look at additional options to work with our smaller producers, because Nevada does not have commercial egg production itself. We bring all our eggs in from commercial producers in surrounding states. But we do have some small producers. You might even hear from some. And we could look at ways to get those eggs from the farmer's market to the grocery market. There are other options potentially out there. This gives the maximum flexibility to the Department of Agriculture to see what we can do to increase that supply of eggs for our consumers. Most of the rest of the bill makes conforming changes. One of the things that I do want to note is that the duration of this suspension can only be for a maximum of 120 days. There can be no more than 2 suspensions in any calendar year. It takes about 120 days to raise up new laying hens. So we're hoping that we can start to get on the rebound of this. One of the things that we wanted to make clear is that, those foundational laws make sense. They work for the state when times are normal. In times of an emergency, that's when we want to be able to activate this flexibility. And I think this allows us to do that, and also have the option to do it again if during the calendar year, potentially later down the road in the year, we're still battling these issues and need a little bit of that flexibility once again. The last thing that I'll note is that the bill as amended adds in a requirement for the department to, within 60 days of passage, compile some information regarding price discrepancies in the egg supply chain. As you may know, like I said, when you go to one store, they might be out of eggs. You go to another store, they have some. You go to one store, it's $5 for 18 eggs. You go to another store, and it's $12 for a dozen. So there are reasons for that, and we want to make sure that we get that information out to the legislature and out to the public. And so the department has graciously agreed to help compile some of that information and data that's out there and get that out to us. So that summarizes the bill, and with that, thank you for your time, and we're glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from committee members for Director Gogochea or Assemblymember Watts? Senator Ellison.
Thank you. This is for Mr. Gogochea. I think that reporter's all cracked up. But there we go with our jokes. I sent one to the caucus, waiting on the assembly to finally send the bill over. I said I could have laid an egg by then. But one of the things I've got, Mr. Gogochea, is, you know, we're getting the report about how big this disease was. But a lot of them, once they found out it was a bird flu, they actually went in and destroyed a lot of them so it wasn't by the bird flu itself, it was just to make sure it didn't spread every place else. Is that correct? And that was my first question. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, through you, or may I go direct?
Direct, please.
Senator Ellison, yes, thank you for the question. That's a good question. So this is a foreign animal disease. High-path avian influenza is a foreign animal disease. We have very strict guidelines on how we must manage that disease, and those come down from USDA APHIS. So while you say that a lot of those birds were destroyed, they are in fact destroyed to keep them from dying. Once this gets into a layer house, it will approach near 100% morbidity and mortality in those barns. So once it is diagnosed in there, then that barn is depopulated so that we can start the cleaning and sanitation phase of that. Everything on there must be composted or discarded in a way that it is no longer infectious. That barn must sit fallow, meaning empty, for a period of time, and then we can start bringing those new pullets in. And as Assemblymember Watts said, the fastest a pullet can get there, depending on the breed, is 126 days from the time they come in until they lay their first egg.
And follow up, ma'am. And then the other one, and I thank you for that, because that really gives us a good look at what we're facing. The other thing was, how many states did that really affect as it started coming out? Do we have any idea how big an area it hit and how far it was before they stopped it?
Senator Ellison, Director Goycochea, for the record, high-path avian influenza has affected all 50 states in the United States. Definitely the 48 contiguous have had diagnoses of high-path avian influenza in domestic birds, all 48.
Thank you. Senator Pizzina?
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the presentation. I was curious if there are any other states, and I would imagine there are, that have the cage-free specifications currently in statute, and if so, if you know of any other states that are doing what we're doing here right now.
Thank you for that question, Senator Howard Watts, for the record. I don't have the most up-to-date statistics. I know it's more than 10 states. I think I saw something today that said 15, but I haven't done the research to give you a number with absolute certainty. So we'll just say 10 to 15 states have some sort of cage-free law on the books. As far as are other states considering this, yes, they are. I know there have been conversations in the state of Colorado, probably other states as well.
Senator Pizzina, Director Goycochea, for the record, yes, the state of Arizona was just getting ready to implement this full scale. They went through the regulatory process rather than the statutory process, so their directors suspended the rules in the face of this outbreak, so they have not implemented 100% yet because of this outbreak.
Senator Scheibel?
Thank you. You mentioned in your presentation that this has some reporting requirements, and I'm expecting that you can point me to that because I can't find it in the bill.
Thank you for that question, Senator Howard Watts, for the record. I'll get it pulled up for you. Due to the speed with which this has moved through the process, I don't think the first reprint of the bill is even available in hard copy format right now. And that was added via amendment. So I will point you to that, but you are going to have to go on to Nellis and look at the first reprint of the bill. One of the other things that I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention in my initial presentation to Director Goycochea's most recent point is that this does give the department the ability to promulgate regulations related to everything related to the production and sale of eggs. And that, again, creates, and all of that has to conform with all of these statutes. But again, we're talking about making sure that we have some of that flexibility in place for the department to act, and also to add additional clarity that the legislature can't and honestly shouldn't. So looking at the bill,
Actually,
this is in section 9.5, and it's not in blue, so it's hard to see, but that is where the reporting requirement is.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I have another question, if I may. So is there a nexus between a foreign animal disease, if I'm saying that right, outbreak, and the cage-free requirements that are currently in our law? Or is the nexus simply that requiring eggs to be cage-free is always going to increase the cost of eggs?
Howard Watts, for the record, yes, there is some cost associated, particularly as producers make investments in conversion. And so there has been some price differences, but again, as you look at moving from, I think a decade ago, 20% of production, now up to 40%, you're going to continue to see those cost efficiencies improve. To your initial point, I think my perspective, you heard from Director Goycochea that this has affected every single state across the country. You did hear that these facilities have been hit particularly hard. I think that it's more correlation than causation. No facility is or operation is immune to being affected by this highly pathogenic bird flu.
If I can,
Thank you.
Senator Chabot, Director Goycochea, for the record. So in October, November, and December, the greatest death losses were in fact in cage-free. And that, again, why? Was it just their turn? Perhaps it was, and as that spread west. But also something that we have to keep in mind, a lot of times our cage-free environments are just that. So they're not as confined, they're not as biosecure. So we can get entry of some wildlife at times, and that is often the ways this is entered. I am in no way advocating that we get away from this. Cage-free is fine, but we need to go in eyes wide open. That can happen. If you have them spread out more, you can see a decrease in biosecurity.
Thank you. So I guess my question is, are there other provisions in law that affect the price of eggs, and in a different situation, a different natural disaster, there are going to be different requirements that need to be changed, or is it always going to be the cage-free requirements that are limiting our egg supply in here in Nevada? And now I'm gonna let you finish.
Thank you, Senator Howard Watts, for the record. Again, we wanted to make sure, that we had all the tools available. And so this has evolved from conversations with the department, with the Humane Society, and with others. We want to make sure that if we're going to do this, that we're providing that flexibility for the experts at the department to see what are those options. Again, we want to make sure health and safety is always number one. That's the bottom line. So we're always going to work to protect that. But any regulatory flexibility we can provide, right? Whether it's getting those smaller producers and helping get them into this supply chain out of kind of their immediate community, and get those out to a broader group of folks, whether it's looking at potentially getting grade B eggs on the shelves, which really are kind of more minor cosmetic issues. Now, obviously, there's already a market for those, so we're trusting the experts to look at these options, and as they do their rulemaking, they might discover some other options that are out there, and then figure out which set of tools is the best to use in any given circumstance. It may be the suspension of cage-free egg laws. It may be other items. It may be a combination.
Yes, Senator Scheibel, Director Goycochea, for the record, this really, and no pun intended, we literally have all our eggs in one basket here. That is the problem. And been trying not to say that, but there's no other way to say it. Everybody gets it that way. We're literally trying to find avenues to get more eggs on the shelves. Obviously, the price will come down as that supply goes up. Right now, we need that protein. We have communities that rely on that protein. We have populations that rely on that protein. That is a high source of protein. Normally, it's very affordable. Our job is to get that back into their hands with whatever tools we need.
Senator Hansen?
Actually, I had a ton of questions, but I promised Alexis I wouldn't pick on Howard, so I'm not gonna go down that road. No, actually, you just hit on the real question, though. Because there's so many poorer people in Nevada that are struggling in so many ways. When we have cage-free, Alexis always buys cage-free. I'm not so big on that, but if you're gonna buy them in Nevada and you wanna go cage-free, fine. There's a lot of people that are struggling financially in the state, and a difference between a $3 dozen of eggs and a $6 ones based on that cage thing is a market-driven principle. And I realize I voted no on that bill back in 2019 or whenever it was, but what you're saying, though, is so vital for so many people. We talk a lot about poor people in the state of Nevada, and this is one of the most fundamental opportunities they have to purchase one of the most valuable, inexpensive forms of protein. So anyway, just want to get that on the record. I won't pick on Howard, I promise Alexis.
My compliments to the Speaker of your House.
That is actually correct.
Howard Watts for the record.
Well, thank you so much. In respect of everybody's time, I am not going to make any comments. I appreciate all of the work that you've done on this. So now we are going to be hearing testimony in support of AB 171 in Carson City.
Chair, I will start from the Department of Agriculture. Obviously, I think it goes without saying, but I would like to get on the record that the agency is in fact in support of AB 71 as amended.
Thank you. As a reminder, we'll be limiting our testifiers to 2 minutes each. There's a new egg timer that we're using here, and when it goes to red, your time is up. Go ahead. If you are testifying in support, please state your name for the record.
For the record, my name is Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Nevada Farm Bureau. We're here in support of this bill. We appreciate the flexibility that the new provisions provide. We also think it's very important to have had the opportunity to have this bill processed so rapidly in order to get on top of the issue. So the priority that this bill is getting, we also greatly appreciate. And we understand that the Department of Agriculture will carry out their responsibilities in bringing about the changes that need to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Peter Sabo, Senior Government Affairs Manager for the Nevada Restaurant Association. We support AB 171 because it gives restaurants critical flexibility when egg supply disruptions drive costs to unsustainable levels. Some restaurants are paying 220% more for eggs because they cannot buy from the majority of the farms in the country due to current restrictions. More than 70% of eggs come from conventional farms, but Nevada restaurants cannot use them even when there's a shortage. This bill provides a temporary practical fix that helps restaurants secure more affordable options, stabilize costs, and avoid severe disruptions. Without this flexibility, restaurants are left scrambling. We urge your support. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Cruz Crawford and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. We are here in support of AB 171. As many of you know, we represent businesses large and small that employ about 1 in 3.5 working Nevadans. And for all of these groups, they're feeling the effects of these rising prices. For our mom and pop breakfast shops, they're already feeling the effects of wage compression. On top of that, these rising egg prices shave razor-thin margins even thinner. On the other side, some of our largest members who have the ability to buy at scale and buy wholesale are still seeing, since the end of last year till now, increases of between 64 and 73%. And then, of course, for Nevadan workers and their families, eggs represent a stable and affordable source of protein, and access to them is essential for these families to be able to provide balanced meals. Just a little bit of data to kind of add here. The January 3rd egg report from the U.S. Department of Ag indicated that we saw a disproportionate impact towards cage-free eggs of about 56% nationwide. Beyond that, if you look at egg commodity pricing since the beginning of this year, it's increased by about 22%. All of this is really just to say that this issue does not seem to be relenting, and we just ask for your support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Cruz Crawford and members of the committee. My name is Rebecca Goff, and I'm the Nevada State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. We're here today in support of AB 171 as revised. We understand the need to address egg shortages during this unprecedented disease outbreak while maintaining the cage-free egg law, which protects animals from cruelty and Nevadans from food safety concerns. The Humane Society of the United States proposed the amendment to AB 171 because we believe that the Department of Agriculture should have the ability to address all factors potentially contributing to the current egg shortage. We are so thankful to Assemblymember Watts and Director Gokachia for working together with us. And I do want to just address the question from Senator Scheibel. The newest data from the USDA, which is looking at just the very first part of 2025, shows almost the opposite, that 71% of the avian flu outbreaks were in cage systems, whereas only 29% of the outbreaks were in the cage-free systems. So I think that just goes to show that it's affecting all of the birds, not really limited to cage or cage-free. So I just wanted to make that distinction. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Chair Cruz Crawford, Ms. T. Grimmer with the Nevada Resort Association. As you might imagine, our properties buy and serve a lot of eggs, and so we also are very much in support of this bill. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Cruz Crawford and committee members. My name is Zoe Houghton with 3C House, representing the Energy and Convenience Association of Nevada. And with over 1,500 convenience stores across the state, which sell household necessities such as eggs, we appreciate this effort to combat rising egg prices during unforeseen circumstances, such as the one we are experiencing today. Thank you.
Good evening, Grant. My name is Brian Wachter. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. We are absolutely thankful, first and foremost, to Senate Majority Leader Cannizzaro, to Speaker Yeager, and to Governor Lombardo, and through his work with Director Gokachia, in being able to bring this solution to what is a crisis that we are seeing to the legislature, and to be able to move this quickly. And we understand that causes a little bit of confusion, but you have our gratitude as retailers, and you're about to have our gratitude from consumers. I do want to address Section 9.5 of the bill, which is the new amendment. We are a tad bit confused as the conversations that we had with the bill sponsor yesterday had indicated to us that report was going to be inclusive of wholesalers and producers, as well as those retailers. We think the language is still broad enough that it might give the director the ability to do that. Why that's important, not particularly saying it is in this case, but in the last year, we have seen the beef producers, sugar producers, and potato producers all be subject to lawsuits on price collusion, which, as you know, feeds into the ultimate price for consumers at the grocery store. And so we think that needs to be a holistic conversation. As we know, how our food gets from our table to our grocery store is complicated. There's not one egg supply chain, there are dozens. The Humane Society, and we are absolutely ecstatic to have their support on this bill, brought that up. Every single category of eggs is being hit. We do have the caveat in the amendment that if grade B eggs are chosen, those already have a destination. Those go into end products, and so we will see probably a slight increase in those eggs as a result of any of that particular action. Otherwise, this is a simple way, a little bit of a relief valve for Nevada consumers, and we thank you so much for your consideration.
We will now take testimony in support for AB 171 in Las Vegas. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties, so we're going to move on. Anyone in Las Vegas can call our phone line. We will now take testimony in support of AB 171. AVH, is there anyone on the line wishing to provide testimony in support?
Chair, your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
Next, we'll hear testimony in opposition in Carson City. Seeing none, we will take testimony in opposition and loss, or on the phone line. AVH, is there anyone on the phone line that's wishing to provide testimony in opposition?
You have no callers at this time.
Finally, is there anyone wishing to testify in neutral in the Carson City office? AVH on the telephone? Anyone that would like to testify in neutral?
Chair, your line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
I will now close the hearing on AB 171. Members, AB, do I have?
Did you do opposition?
Yes, and neutral.
I think he was just gonna make a closing statement.
No, you were good.
That's an optional item. I'm trying to respect people's time. AB 171 has been considered and as an urgent measure, so I will entertain a motion to do pass. And was that you, Allison?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Senator Ellison, and then Senator Ellison has made a motion to do pass. And I have a second from Senator Hansen. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Do we have opposition testimony?
Yeah, just no one gave it.
No, I didn't think there would.
Okay. All those in favor, say yay.
Yay.
All those opposed, say nay. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, motion carries. I'm going to assign Senator Scheibel, Senator Pazina to handle the floor statement. Okay, now we're moving on to public comment. Our final business is public comment. Is there any public comment here in Carson City? Any public, AVH, is there anyone waiting to provide public comment on the phone lines?
Chair, your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
Seeing no further public comment, this concludes our first meeting. I want to thank, or a second meeting, third meeting. I would like to thank everyone that worked so diligently. And our next meeting will be on Thursday, February 13th. This meeting is adjourned.